YouTube? What the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Got a couple things I want to cover real quick. I do have a replay, but first I want to talk about a little Lore of the Wild spell here called Devolve, which I hadn't really tinkered around with much, but someone mentioned in one of the comments and told me how strong it was, and I was like, you know, how strong can the direct damage spell be? I mean, we've seen Fate of Buna be quite good, and a couple other items, but I was like, surely it's, you know, it's probably good, but it can't be that good. So I decided to come in here and take a look at Devolve, specifically an Overcast variant. So I've got 5 great swords opposite of my Ungor Spearherd, and these guys are absolutely horrible, and by all means the Empire should absolutely flatten me in this battle, were it not for this little trick up the sleeve of the Beastmen. So with a 200-meter range, there is Devolve. Let's take a look at the effects. So this is like a area of effect Fate of Buna, except probably even stronger than Fate of Buna. Well, I don't know if it's, well, it's like Fate of Buna before it was nerfed. So yeah, I mean, just watch this. So yeah, this army that should totally squash me under any normal circumstances. 2 Overcast Devolves, and all the great swords are dead before they ever even make contact with me. So this spell definitely needs nerfing. I don't see how anybody could defend this. This is definitely either some kind of mistake or oversight by the Creative Assembly, because that's absolutely absurd in every way. So just routed their entire army before they ever touched me. So yeah, CA, if you don't mind, please nerfing that spell, that would be great. I'm sure people have brought it to your attention, but just wanted to mention that before we jump into the replay. But that's going to be absolutely broken in multiplayer, and you know, could potentially be abused pretty bad in campaign too. Let's go check this replay real quick. I've got this this replay that was sent to me by a viewer, and he's going to be playing as the Greenskins, and that might make Gobo super magic happy if he's got enough goblins in here. It does not look like he has enough goblins to make Gobo super magic happy. He's up against the Beastmen. Looks like I see 5 Goreherd, a couple of let's see, 4 Ungor. Let's take a look at the armies real quick just to make sure we get it, because the Beastmen have forward deployed on the Greenskins. So we got a Doom Diver, Azag the Slaughter, and does have a poison ability, and it looks like just Spirit Leech, Buna, and maybe one other spell brought. So trying to keep Azag cheap as possible, but as effective as possible. We got a line of Orc Boys up front, a line of Orc Biggins behind them, and we have 4 what is this, Goblin Big Boss, and they're riding the Spiders. So yeah, these guys are also going to have poison attacks, so a lot of poison coming in this army, and then a couple of Giants as well. And against the Beastmen, all they have is cheap archers, so Giants may not be a bad pick. The Beastmen did forward deploy. All their guys are in chariots here. We have a Beastlord, a Death Shaman, and a Bray Shaman. So let's see what else we got out here. Chaos Warhounds on the flanks. So clearly the Beastman player hoping to get the jump here. You got 4 Ungor herd in this on the flanks there, 2 Goreherds in the center. Not very strong infantry. They're not going to last long without some support, but there are Centaurs here as well. The Giants alone, though, can easily jack up all this infantry as long as the archers can be dealt with. The big Goblin Big Bosses, he told me, each have a Potion of Toughness and the Potion of Healing, which basically means that they get 3 lives if used properly. So here comes the Beastmen rush. Giants are just kind of waiting on the flanks here, and now going to be taking a lot of fire, dying extremely quick to the Ungor Raiders. This Giant, though, not being faced by any Ungor Raiders, will do fine. Looks like the Greenskins kind of falling back to protect their artillery. Yeah, that Giant's getting wrecked. Let's just see what happens. Here comes the Razor Gore Chariot Heroes of the Beastmen. Let's see if any spells are thrown out here. This Giant's going to be racking up kills. Here comes the first spell. aspect of Dreadlight. That doesn't seem like it's going to cause all that much damage. Here comes some more spells here too. Doom and Darkness, yeah, shattering the leadership of the Greenskin right down the center. So that was actually a pretty nice spell by the Greenskin player, or the Beastman player. Interesting to see that spell used for the Lore of Death rather than, you know, like Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. So a lot of the Greenskin troops immediately routing because of that, but the Goblin big bosses are going to be hard to rout. You can see one here, and their poison attacks are going to slow down enemy infantry considerably. And then Skullmuncha has poison attacks as well. Let's see, where is Skullmuncha right now? I have lost track. Oh, here he is, right here. So there's Azag right in the center with Skullmuncha. Yeah, so the Goblin big bosses are going to be able to be healed. Let's watch them in combat. Look for a giant spider somewhere around here. Should be able to spot the Goblin big bosses. I say should be, but I am not spotting any right there. There's Azag and the Giant. The Giant is going to do massive damage right here. He's going to be wrecking all over the Beastmen. Usually the Beastmen are sending everybody up in a fountain of blood, but not this time. Here's the Goblin big boss on the spider. Those guys are going to be, like I said, very hard for the Beastmen to kill. And it looks like the Azag is after the Ungor Raiders at this point. The green eyes on Azag are pretty sweet. Watch these Ungor Raiders getting wrecked by a Wyvern. Looks like Spirit Leech cast on Azag there. Hold on. No, the Ungor Raiders got hit by a Fate of Buna. Yeah, so the looks like the Goblins are going to turn this one, or the Orcs are going to turn this one around. Let's see what spells incoming here. Call of Violence for the Beastlords, so it's going to boost up the leadership and melee attack of the Beastmen units here. Don't think that's going to be enough to turn this around, though. The Goblin big bosses are like relatively untouched, and they're going to be able to deal with these archers. Check out the big spider here. Not exactly an Arachnarok, but still pretty entertaining. You got to give Goblin units that, man. They put on an entertaining battle. Look at the spiders chucking these Beastmen around. That's awesome. And then Azag out here on Skullmuncha, absolutely tossing Beastmen everywhere. They're not going to have much of a chance. These units won't against Skullmuncha. He's definitely going to be munching some skulls. Kind of a fun build here by the Greenskins, honestly. They have a little bit of infantry, but the main staying power is going to be the fact that the Goblin big bosses are going to be a lot harder to rout. And for someone who's trying to character snipe, you can't character snipe 2 giants, 4 heroes, and a lord as well. It's going to be impossible to character snipe that many. So basically it means that the battle's going to get forced to take place for longer, which again is one of the things that I've seen with this new system that I kind of like, because the heroes can stick around longer and you can kind of customize your lord a little more, and that leads to a little more army variation. So definitely good things that I've seen so far from the update. And obviously I showed you the Devolve spell at the beginning of this, which definitely a step backwards in terms of some of the things in Magic that weren't balanced, but of course they made tweaks to other Magic spells, which I haven't fully explored yet. But in any case, as you can see, I mean, the battle, like I said, taking a lot longer. That giant's gone. This giant, or no, there was another giant. He must be, yeah, he's down. See his corpse right there, and this giant's going to go down as well. So I've seen Ungor Raiders used to decent effect a couple of times for the Beastmen, so don't underrate them just because they're a cheap archer unit that doesn't do a ton of damage. Archers in the right situation can just be very helpful. So it's like Azag is going to get away from all those Ungor Raiders. He did some decent damage, and here he's going to plow down into the Beastlord and his Razor Gore chariot, and Azag is ruining the Razor Gore chariot. There's still a Bray Shaman in the wild here, but the Goblin big bosses just are not being killed, and they are just riding around on their spiders, blood spewing everywhere. These guys are definitely not Sigvald. They get dirty. So yeah, Goblin big bosses definitely being helpful. I'm curious to see what happens when they get into the Ungor Raiders. But right now, I mean, the speed on these Goblin big bosses is pretty good. 78. It makes them as quick as a cavalry unit, unless it's a very fast cavalry unit. Azag's going to try and stay away from the Ungor Raiders. Definitely a smart choice because flying units a little bit vulnerable. But you can see all the greenskin units except for the goblins are gone. Devolve being used on the goblins, though it won't be super effective because it's better versus multiple combatants, not a single one. So Devolve is obviously way OP versus standard units, but it's against your heroes are going to be the best way to counter it. I'm imagining heroes and units with a lower man count make the difference. Actually, we probably ought to test that. Yeah, the Goblin big bosses here are going to be in good shape. He's using the potion of healing on all of them. So as you can see here, they're not really going to take a ton of damage. Azag being brought in again to chase down some of the heroes here. The Bray Shaman Wild. The Bray Shaman Lore of Death has been taken care of. And it looks like the Beastmen leader is either fleeing or just out of the battle somewhere here. But Azag here eating it pretty hard from those Ungor Raiders. Surprised that the Goblin Big Boss hasn't run them down yet, but here it comes. Poison attack on the spiders, though, with the healing potion really is a good idea. It's because even if these guys don't do all the damage, they're going to slow down the damage dealt by the enemy. So if they're supporting infantry units, they can be a very helpful unit. Because, like, say a Biggin or something like that's going to be way more effective with one of these Goblin Big Bosses poisoning the units that they're fighting. Not to mention they're fast. They could be useful at hunting down wizards or at hunting down, I'm thinking like missile units, stuff like that, artillery. So I could see a lot of uses for the Goblin Big Boss on the spider here. And I've seen similar things with like a Dwarven Thane, obviously not near as fast, but I've seen them be put to pretty good use supporting infantry now as well. So these are just a couple of the changes to be aware of. I'm really liking watching these nasty spiders rolling around everywhere going after these guys. Definitely some good stuff. I don't know, what do you think, Gobo Super Magic, if you're watching? Are you a fan of the Goblin Big Bosses on the spider here? Since you kind of happen to be like the proponent of Goblinism on YouTube as I see it. Almost as dedicated as the guy who used to tell me that there was never enough Royal Peltist in my army, which I also thoroughly enjoyed that. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a victory there for the Greenskins. Pretty sweet play there. Look at all the kills on these Goblin Big Bosses. That's redonkulous. Azag doing pretty good too. The Beastmen army here, relying pretty heavily on magic, easily routing the Greenskin army, except for this little factor up here. And this giant here actually got a lot of kills as well. And look at that, the Doom Diver got hit early and still had 38 kills. Doom Divers are just definitely good artillery, so never underestimate those two. Tell me all what you think of the new changes. Have you found some armies you like? Would you change the way you rate who the best faction is in this game with the changes that recently came out? Curious to see your thoughts. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope you enjoyed it.